Are you eating our emergency rations?
Well, you spent all our grocery money on MREs. Hey YouTube, Pedro the Broke Prepper here with another video. So I was gonna do a pretty interesting video on making a bow out of reclaimed laminate flooring, just because I thought, you know, it had a good amount of spring to it. But instead of dedicating a lot of time and effort, into a project that I was pretty sure wasn't going to work. I figured, let me do a video on my pantry instead. So, or not my pantry, my food stockpile for my emergency prep and all that. So just to kind of give a little bit of insight into why it looks the way it does right now, or why it is that we have certain things instead of others. So Mrs. Broke Prepper and I just bought our house about 1.5 years ago, and it's been a bit of a fixer-upper, and we've been kind of doing a lot of things, and we've had mishaps, and thank God for our homeowners insurance, you know, helping us. You know, we had a pipe to burst, and we've had to dish out a lot of money here and there. So essentially what we've been doing is we've been supplementing our groceries with our stockpile. So you know, what we've been doing is, you know, doing a project and kind of allocating a lot of money into that and spending a little less money on groceries and just supplementing what we're saving with our stockpile. And so, you know, we've been kind of doing that off and on for the last 1.5 years. So just to kind of go over what we get and what we buy, and the way we do it is every time we go grocery shopping, I try to buy one item or one piece that is going to be, or going to have the sole purpose of just being saved for that. And not only that, I love to buy bulk. In fact, we only shop at Costco for everything. We buy everything in bulk, and when we're about halfway down through whatever, and I mean halfway down, we replenish automatically. So we should always have a minimum of 1 full package to 1.5 packages. So without further ado, kind of getting into it, and I'm a little ashamed we kind of did start running low on rice and we didn't catch it this last grocery trip. So if we kind of go in here, this is where we normally store our potatoes, onions, and we have a lot of onions right now. So we might be giving some away so it doesn't go bad. We also love, one of our other favorite things to stockpile besides rice, the other carb is going to be pasta. We try to have as many boxes as these. And in fact, we have a couple in the corner, but we have about 4 boxes left. So next trip, we need to buy. Alrighty. And then if we kind of come over here, this is kind of where we stockpile some more pasta. Oats, canned chicken. We have the tuna we're not currently using or opening in here. We have flour. We try to buy like 5 pounds of flour every time we buy. In fact, we're running a little low on that. Also, we have vegetable oil, olive oil. We have spices, and I've actually this is kind of where we store it. We have the little spices that we use for everyday cooking in our spice cabinet, and then we just refill it with these guys, and whenever these guys start to run low, we just buy a new one. Of course, spices, I already said that. Cornstarch, vinegar, and more pasta.
Oats.
And oats, I already said oats. Thank you for chiming in. And then whenever we go, we kind of buy fruits and veggies. But we do our trips every 2 weeks. We go grocery shopping every 2 weeks, so we try to make them last. But fruits and veggies don't always have a shelf life of 2 weeks, so we end up binge eating like a bunch of fruits and veggies for that first week. And then over here we have like our cereals. I have a bunch of peanut butter up here in the back, some coffee, crackers, Nature Valley bars. We stockpile a lot of cereal because my family is a cereal killing family. Some crackers, that open peanut butter, and 10 pounds of nacho chips that is sealed, of course, alcohol, more cereal. And then down here we just have like our vinegar and stuff that we also stockpile. Over here we have, Mrs. Broke Prepper organized this today. Just like medicines, I actually have these seeds for like bartering and stuff that I got in the Bud K surprise bags. I thought these were funny, so I just kept them. We have Ricolas. We stockpile loads of tea, for staples, alcohol for cleaning and emergency purposes, and Ruby spray, multivitamins, and much, much more. So again, that's one of those things that you're not gonna buy every single grocery trip, but like if you can save $1 here, $1 there, and when you have like $20, $30 and you buy like a case of multivitamins or you buy some extra honey, I like to take about $5 to $10 every grocery trip to buy something like ramen noodles, maybe an extra package of canned tuna or canned chicken, or like extra vinegar, maybe another packet of rice or beans, things like that. So then over here we also have, stockpiled Jello, pudding, chocolate milk, more spices, so chicken bouillon. We have more down there, and this guy, a lot of chicken bouillon. A little box of shrimp ramen. The reason I have this one here is because this is my personal favorite, so this is the last one we get to go to. Protein, more coffee, black seeds. And that's something that a lot of people forget. Just kind of before I move on to the next part, is people, or a lot of preppers, what I see us doing in the beginning when we first start prepping or when we start trying to build our stockpile is we forget that we have to eat today and tomorrow. So we'll go out and we'll just spend everything we have on food that's going to last 25 years just to have it, just in case the end of days comes tomorrow. But you can't live like that. Your first line of defense is what you have now. So what I always recommend to people who are trying to build a stockpile is, instead of starting buying MREs, make sure your actual food storage, your actual food supply is at a good level, that you have at least that month to 2 months worth of food, to where you can kind of just start eating it and switching it out. Because I don't just buy food to stockpile, I buy food in surplus and eat it, and as I start running out, replenish. So it gets bigger and bigger, so that there is a day where I can just allocate funds to MREs without having to worry about cutting into my grocery money, or without having to worry about, will my family miss a meal because of it. So that's the things you have to ask yourself. Can you truly afford to buy it, or can you just maybe buy a little extra of what you're buying now to survive now? So I'm gonna come back over here. With that being said, I stockpile apple cider vinegar with the honey. I love to stockpile honey. I'm actually running a little low on that. Good thing I did this video. If not, I wouldn't have probably caught that. Brown sugar, cream of wheat. I have a bunch of cream of wheat down there too. My family eats cream of wheat, which is another thing you have to do when doing this. You have to kind of take 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and study how much your family eats, what your family is eating, what you're replenishing, where your funds are allocated to, and you can maybe focus on building that up to the point where you can just kind of go a long time without buying it, and just start focusing on the other little things, like extra cans of tuna, or maybe some extra spices, maybe a couple extra boxes of pasta, things like that. So for instance, we bought a bunch of cream of wheat so that I shouldn't have to buy a box of cream of wheat. So we have a cream of wheat famine or something in the world. So keep that in mind. Other things that you're going to want to stockpile, like, that's super inexpensive, that I don't see a lot of people stockpiling, is salt. Buy salt. If you've ever had food without salt, it sucks. Everything we eat is salt, and it's an awesome preservative for like meat drying and all of that. It's just a really good staple to have, and my wife and I actually like this stuff right here, the nutritional yeast. We've cut dairy out of our diet. This stuff is so good. So that's kind of our spice cabinet. Alrighty, so the last part of my stockpile, and I know it looks a little empty. Like I said, we're kind of in the process of replenishing right now, is our actual pantry. So this is kind of where we have the food that's off to the side that isn't in our cabinets. This is kind of more the stockpile. So here we have some staple items like canned goods, beans, corn, peas, and things like that, because obviously it's not a prepper food storage system if you don't have cans or some smack ramen. I love this stuff. I think ramen is super awesome. It's something you can eat without having to cook it. You can save the flavor packets, not slave the flavor packets, for other occasions, or you can cook it in a plethora of different ways. I think top ramen is essential to any prepping stockpile, whether you're vegan or not. So, or whatever. And then we obviously have our 5 pounds of animal crackers here. That's obviously for the kids. We have a box of crackers and my tools, and dog treats, dog biscuits, and more vinegar. Mrs. Broke Pepper and I clean. We make all our own household cleaners. We make our own first aid kit cleaners and all that. So we use vinegar a lot, and it's so inexpensive. and most people don't realize how much money they save from cleaning the house with vinegar and using like essential oils to cover the smell if the smell bothers you, um, and other things like that. And if you're doing it right, if you're making the right concoctions, vinegar wouldn't smell. But I kind of stray. But yeah, so when you're in this part, this is the kind of part of the stockpile that I don't really touch too much. And I have things like this that cost like $2 and $3 that we don't really eat this. The only time we actually eat these type of packets are when they're about to go bad and we're about to replenish them. But these things have such a long shelf life, and I think they're so good for your stockpile. It's the same with the canned goods. These things just last forever. They're easy to make, and they just kind of go well. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, and I kind of jumped back and forth there, guys, I'm sorry, is because a lot of preppers feel like if you don't have your own MREs, or if you don't buy a 6-month supply of MREs, which is going to cost you more than a mortgage, that you're not prepping, or that you're not really doing anything, or you're not going to survive as long, as that it's not as good. But in all honesty, guys, I'm not going to say that I know more than them or that I'm this expert, but I am going to say that that's not fair to say in the slightest, because there are so many other things that have such long shelf lives, and sometimes they don't even need to have a long shelf life. If you're constantly rotating your stockpile, if you're constantly eating through it and replenishing it, then if the SHTF situation does happen, you should be sustained for a good while till you are able to find that new food source, until you're able to find that new source of nutrition, whether it be your garden or hunting, or if you're one of those people who are like, I'll just take it from other people. Until you get there, this is what you're living off of. And if you don't have the money to survive for today, then you don't, or if you don't have the food storage to survive for today and tomorrow, then you don't have a right to think about months from now or years from now, or if then, if that. Because your family needs to eat now, you need to eat now, not if something happens tomorrow. So, with that being said, guys, have fun, be safe, and don't forget, don't ever not be prepared.